Hi there, this is Kristine Reynolds, and I'm going to do a little coloring tutorial to show you how I colored this adorable little girl, Isobel. I use Spectrum Noir alcohol markers, which you can find online at crafterscompanion.com or in many retail stores across the country. Isobel is a new release from the Angelica and Friends line of stamps, which is also available at crafterscompanion.com. To start off, I stamped Isobel on Crafter's Companion Ultra Smooth Premium White Cardstock with Memento Tuxedo Black dye ink. I'm going to begin by covering her dress with BT1. I'm going to be using BT1, 3, 4, and 5 to complete her dress. After I finish getting that initial layer of color on there, I'm going to start with my darkest color. The reason I color her entire dress with a light color is just to get that initial layer on there. It helps the next layers to move around a little bit because they're not getting soaked up by the paper as quickly because this layer is on there. So I'm going to start by just using BT5 on the lines that are already drawn for me. And then I'm going to, I have to turn her a little to get this right. I'm going to go ahead and connect this line there, and there, and there. And then up here I'm just going to come in a little darker. Now I'm just going to work on the folds right now so that they'll stay damp and be easy to move. The next marker that I'm going to use is my BT4. You can see I just kind of flick from the dark ends. And in here I'm going to go right along the edge of the BT5 on both sides of each line that I've made. And that was the BT4. And then I'm going to come in again with the BT1 in the middle. And now I'm going to take some BT3 and just keep kind of defining where my darker spots would be. With BT3 I'm just coming in and back with BT4, and you can see how I just keep coming in with the color until I'm happy with the way it looks. And now you can get a pretty good look at how it's all coming together. At this point I'm going to let it dry and decide if I need to add more later to get the look that I want. I'm going to go ahead and start on her hair now. For Isabella's hair I'm going to be using TN4, TN3, and TN2. I'm going to start with the TN2 and just fill in all the empty spaces with the lighter color. Now I'm going to go to TN4 and start with little feather strokes out from the center. And from the top. And then for this curly hair, I'm just going to come in and kind of swirl it around a little bit on some of these little curly spots. Because it's kind of a curly, messy haired look, it doesn't really need to be perfect. This is a great kind of hair to practice on because it's not going to show mistakes as much. So I like the way that looks. I'm going to come in with TN3 now and just bring it out a little bit more. Fill in some of those spots. And then in here, just add a little more color, and you can see that I'm kind of dotting it on, and that gives it more of a curly look. And I want to leave some of the lighter TN color in there and just add some of this in there. And then I'm just going to come back in a couple of these blank spots and add a little more light color with the TN2. And there's her hair. For the little rose in her hair, I used orange, and to create the color that I want, I'm going to use OR3, OR1, and CR2. Again, I'm going to start with my lightest color just to get the color on there. And then, again, my darkest color. I really mainly want the dark color kind of in the center. And then the OR1 is the final color I'm going to come in with and just add a little dimension to the outsides of some of these circles. And then I'm going to come back in one more time with the CR2 just to help blend some of that out. And that's my rose. I'm going to come back in and do some of these feathers on her. I'm going to use BT5 and BT3 for the feathers. And the darker would be towards her hair because the light can't really get down in there. So I'm going to use the BT5 on that part of the feather and on this little strings that are coming out. And then I'm going to come in with BT3 and finish off the feathers. She's really coming along now, isn't she? She has a little earring here. I think I'm going to get her earring. And I think I did gold on her necklace on the card, but I don't seem to have the gold out. So I'm going to just use the BT5 and come in and do a little bit of a darker necklace on her. since I don't have that one handy and I don't want to stop the video, and I'm going to grab that strap while I'm there. Next we're going to do her skin, and I'm going to actually start her skin by doing her little cheek with FS8. And I usually put my cheek color on first because I just want it to be a little hint. I don't want it to be too dark. And so I put that on. And then I'm going to come in with the FS2. And I do go right over it. And that helps to fade it out a little bit. So it's still pink, as you can see, but it's not quite as pronounced, which is what I want. I'm going to come in here, get her skin, and I'm doing FS2 on all of this right now. And I just see a spot of her dress I missed. That happens to me a lot. I go when I'm coloring as I find other spots that I missed. But I will go back and get that in a minute because I want to keep doing her skin. Next I'm going to use TN2, and I'm just going to use that in the parts that I think would be the darkest. So right underneath where her shirt is shadowing, where she's grabbing her dress, right along her hairline. Her shoulder would be a little bit shaded because she's looking down. I think I'll just shade that whole shoulder. And then her cute little knobby knees here, getting shadowed from the dress. And FS4 is the next color I'm going to use, and I'm just going to use that to help fade out the TN2 into the lighter skin color. I don't remember if I did that, but it needs a little. And then I come back in with FS2 again and just make sure that that's all blended in. And I get the couple of pieces of the dress that I missed with the BT5, the darker color. And now it's time for her shoes. I'm going to do her shoes with the same colors that I used on her dress. First, the inside of her shoes are going to be a different color. So this is TN2 that I'm putting on the inside of her shoes. And a little TN3 to help shade that. And then back with the TN2 just to blend it in a little. Alright, we are almost done. Shoes. I'm going to start with the BT1 and just cover the whole shoe, just again to get the basic ink on the paper. And then BT5 is going to be underneath where the shoe is. The BT5 would be a little darker. And the sole of the shoe. Here where this shoe is crossing over this shoe, there's going to be a little shadow there. And then I'm just going to use this here and there. And then center of the bow. And then I just keep going back and forth with colors until I get the look that I want. So here's BT4. And there's her shoes. Now, as I'm looking at her dress, I feel like this area of her dress is a little too harsh, and I want to blend that out a little bit more. So the cool thing about these markers is that if you don't like the way something turned out, you can go back in and mess with it a little bit. You want to be careful about messing with it too much. But I'm going to come in with my BT1 and just kind of re-ret the area around here. And it's okay if it lightens up some of these stripes because I'm going to come back in and add them in again. Okay, so I've added the BT1, and now I'm going to just come in with the BT4 and do that process again of coming out next to the original stripes because I think they were a little harsh. And I just want to have a little more definition. And then with the BT3, and then finally the BT1 again. Now this is still damp, but I'm much happier with the way that is looking. And when it all dries, you'll end up with something similar to this. So that is my coloring tutorial on how to color this gorgeous little girl. I hope that you learned something, and thank you for watching. It's one of my first, and as I get better at coloring and better at doing videos, I hope to bring you many more. Thank you very much.